So building interfaces, we also have it on record, and the interface we try to build for the web app for the opportunity tracker. So we want the ability to put in current trends that we find, and the output should be a kind of website, a kind of web app where you can see these opportunities, maybe in advanced sessions bookmark the opportunities, vote on the opportunities. And we have some connectors on the APIs to Google News, to ChatGPT, to whatever. We will only look on the interface side, and you have to trust me that there's a backend, or don't trust me, the backend is non-existent or it doesn't work. But that doesn't really matter. We have the data in the database and the interface, which we will put with Softr. Softr is this logo. The other logo is Tally, where we could put the input form. As we have just learned, the first thing we need to think about is the kind of user stories. I put them here in features and what we want to build. I already made a list and what I want to have, and put this in a kind of user flow. Not too much interesting, but this is basically the consideration I want to make when building this web app. So I want to be able to find the opportunities. So what kind of data do I want to serve here? In what technology do I want to serve it? To enriching the data, that should happen in the back end. I do not want the user to see that, and the data that is on this server. And of course, I could consider now different kinds, website, newsletter, Discord. The way we are going for is with Softr. And before I talk a lot about Softr, I will show it to you in reality, and for that I will actually open a Chrome window. For a long time I use Chrome only very limited, but Softr is way faster on Chrome. Only Chrome itself is very slow. Okay. So here you can see Softr. It's an app, again, also not the only app, also not the only recommended app, but one that is super, super simple to use. If you remember this spectrum where I said there are very easy tools to use and very complex tools, this is definitely on the very easy tools. You can build any kind of solution, any kind of product that is somehow, here you can see some examples already, that shows some kind of data that you have in a database. It is not the perfect solution if you want to do some complex analytics or so. But once you start using that, you will definitely learn its problems rather quickly, or its shortcomings, so to say. They are also developing new tools quite quickly at the moment, so this is something very cool. This is how it looks when you're on the T12, on the Softr website. So you have your space with your apps, your templates, your data sources. So this is also, again, very similar to what you see in Make.com, where also you have your scenarios in Make's case. You also have templates in Make and also data sources in Make. This is also very similar to what you have in Zapier, where you have your Zaps and some other things there as well. So again, what we are learning, this are some kind of best practices that you tend to have in all of those tools. And the first important thing about Softr is that it was initially built to be a front-end creator for Airtable. So it's very good working with Airtable, and lately they added a lot of other data connections. So if you say, for example, Airtable is something you don't feel too comfortable with Airtable yet, you can also add your Google Sheets. That is absolutely not a problem. And if you say on the other end of the spectrum, and say, okay, this is a little bit too simple for me, or I don't want to use Airtable, I want to use Supabase in a real SQL database. This is also working right now, so you can just connect your Postgres database or your MySQL that can lie wherever it lies on these connections. So Google Sheets would, of course, continue through Google Drive. The data source I have here connected already is, of course, Airtable. I do not have to do anything here, but I showed you already how it's working. And then let's jump into creating an app. You can build an app either from scratch. You can use a lot of templates. I usually start them from scratch because it's quite simple. Once you know how software apps look like, you will notice every single app that has been built with software because they all look very, very similar. This is a downside, for example, what you cannot do with software. So this is very much the template that it gives you when you start out first. And it always has this kind of image. What you cannot, for example, change is some front-end engineering that you would do, or some user engineering that you would do. This border is always of this size. The padding of the text is always the same size. You can choose between, I think, 10 or so different fonts, but you are linked to those. So if you say you have a perfect design already with perfect colors, perfect icons, the right type form and the right type setting, this is something you cannot do. I will show you. So this is something that is already set up. Of course, in this, so whenever you click on something, this context menu on the right-hand side changes to this object. Again, this is what we already know. Basically, every no-code tool, you have your thing that you're working on in the center, and then usually on the right-hand side, you have the context menu for what you're working on. Right now, we're working on this feature, which is called Hero 1. Hero, basically in web design, the above the fold content is usually called Hero with a call to action. We can rename this. The rename has some technical advantages for SEO and stuff, but we do not need to get in this right now. You can, of course, change the text, and it's super easy to change. This is our opportunity tracker, which changes in real time, which is already fantastic for everything we want to write. This is, of course, hard-coded, so this is static content we are working on right now. And you can exchange the video or the image. You can a little bit change the style, but the stylistic changes is really super limited. And these are the kind of images that you get with software. And of course, if you say this is nothing that you want to use, then you need to upload your own images. Maybe generate them with GPT. If you don't know how to generate them with GPT or Midjourney, then again, the course content of the last microclass will help you with that. Still, what I was saying, what you cannot adjust on the styles sheet is what is the padding on the left, on the right, so it will always have this layout. Which the great thing is, it will always look kind of nice, but it will never look perfectly like yours. Some first important top menu things. The top menu is on the very left-hand side in the case of software. In the case of Make, if you can remember, it would have been on the bottom. And the most important thing that you probably need to work with is the pages. So whenever you create a new page and say, okay, you want to have a new kind of thing, it comes with a lot of initial pages already. Whenever you want to have a new one, you just click Add Page, and it will add a page for you. Let's make this an example. And it already gives you a relative URL. So if we go on our website and click Example, we already can go there. So as you can see, this is the minimum page. Nothing is on there. We can always click Preview. It opens another thing, another website with the preview. which looks exactly what we have on this example right now. And let's add something. It's super easy. We just add a block and add some more static content. A static content, for example, pricing. Why not? Why not? Let's add a pricing. We have 4 opportunities of adding pricing there, which is cool. So you have 4 different options of making pricing look, but you only have 4 options. And when you want to have a static content that is not part of this, then it's not part of this. So you only can add this. You can go around. Let's add a pricing first. Wonderful. Let's reload the preview. No, it's 2 headers. Very good question. It is 2 headers. I will talk about this in a second, but what we have here is not a header and a footer, it's 2 headers. Why do we have 2 headers? Because you can set, and this is a cool feature about this builder, you can have different visibilities. So this first header with the sign up button, if you go here to visibility, it's visible only to not logged in users. So as long as I'm not logged in, I see a sign in or log in button. If I look on the second header and go to visibility, this is only visible to customers or users who are logged in. So only those can see that, and I can also prove this to you and show this to you. Here again we are on example, and we've just added this. We've also added this nice slider. This functionality, of course, is hard-coded within software. Let's go back to the page. Sorry, that was a misclick. Example. So we go on this and see with the pricing tiers 1, 2, 3, 4. We could add as many as we want. We could add a popular label to number 2, for example, which we have here. If we remove that here, then it has that. So the engineers on their side were taking quite some time to give you some very popular options, but of course this is only the popular things that you have. For example, it might be hard to mix. You only can see yearly and monthly. If you want to use yearly, monthly, and one-off, then you can't do that. The way to work around this, of course, is to add a second button and say pricing again, and say, okay, this is the subscription-based pricing plus. Oh, sorry, I'm a static. That is not what I want to do. Plus a one-term pricing. So this is something that you can. This is something you could do this way. So I clicked just back to the pricing tiers, and can see that I can add features and I can add something on buttons, and I can even embed things. We will talk about this in a second. So, but about the header. Now when you do the setup, then you will see that I use it as a non-logged in user at the moment. I don't have any registered user. I can change that either by signing up to this myself. So this button is not set yet. And now I'm completely off. But I could create a user and then log in as a signed user. So for this is the basic functionality, how everything works in software. Now let me go first to the top context, and then let's build the app that we want to build. So we've seen already pages on the top menu where you can just add pages as you want. You can make them visible, you can make them invisible. In particular, we were talking about managing the prototypes. If we say, okay, on this example website, I want to implement some features, but at the moment I do not want really people to show them. So I can add features on there, put them in my management system on done, but not published because I have that not visible at the moment. Second thing, I can add headers, and I can ask this tool not to show up. I can add a theme, and this theme is exactly where I mean it's quite limited. So as fonts, you can see, oh, it added quite some fonts. Does it have Arial now? But it really is not complete. For example, Arial, very popular font, you do not have that, which is kind of problematic because at TUM we're using Arial. I built a app Photom and can't even use our own CI. I need to use Inter because Inter is somewhat similar to Arial, and there's no way for me to go to Google Fonts or to buy a font and implement that here. The second is I can put colors on there, which is already nice, somewhat nice. These colors are not 100% consistent, which is not a thing that we do something wrong, but it's a programming error on the software side. So sometimes the buttons don't get the color that you specify here. Then you have to go to the button and give it the color yourself. You have some app styles, you can make it S, L, or M, whatever that means, which is just a nice way of saying they force some CSS on there. For example, the roundness of the buttons, you can put them on very sharp, you can put them on a little bit rounded, you can put them on a little bit more rounded, and you can put them on very rounded. As you can see, it changes. This is nice for prototyping. Every designer would run out of this room screaming because what is a little bit and a little bit more rounded, I cannot specify that I want to have it rounded 2 pixels or whatever. I can add custom width. Again, I cannot add padding. And this is basically everything I can do in theming. Super, super limited. Super, super limited. I cannot even, you see there are a lot of yellowish elements. There's no way to get this yellowish out of here. This is clearly something that is in their style, but to get this yellowish out of there, I would need to get to this element, discard. I would need to get to this element. Again, we are now on the right-hand side. And see that this icon is colored in here in the context menu. So in here, I need to recolor the icon, which is given this yellowish color, which unfortunately, which is really sometimes a little bit frustrating, which is not centrally. Users, another very powerful and very popular thing in software is that you can use users. You can manage the users in your Airtable. The users can log in. The users can even, if you have a paid plan, log in with Google, which is fantastic, so they don't need a password. Or you create a user yourself. So here the most popular thing that you probably want to do is sync the users with your data source, and you already have all your users in there. Or you can use an user manually, which I will do. I will use myself. Wait, a magic link. Fantastic. Okay, and now we can check this feature, refresh the page. This is still our preview. Now we go on to sign in and use it as this user Basti. And now take a look at the header bar. I understand. Among Us, it's not 100% GDPR compliant because you can check every user's data all the time and use the system as the user. But Basti is okay because that's obviously me. Check a little at the header. Now the header changed, and it's the other header that was already pre-specified in this theme, which has another feature where I can, for example, sign out. And if I sign out, I'm again as a signed out user, non-logged in user again. Let's do this again. I'm logging in. I understand. I'm now showing this as bastianburger89@gmail.com. Wonderful. Super powerful thing. This is behind a paywall. The different user tiers is behind a paywall, but you can also get quite some mileage without the paid feature. And the last is the settings, and in the settings, you can go through them yourselves. It's again rather limited. General settings, custom domain. Custom domain is also super simple. It's one of the simplest setups for your custom domain. Just put in your domain and on your DNS server. Who of you has connected a custom domain to something you built already? Some people, less than I expected actually. It's super simple. It's super simple. Maybe I put some resources online on how you do this. You basically just buy this domain somewhere at GoDaddy, at Hetzner, at Gandhi, at AWS, and it gives you a very short document which just specifies the address of that you need to say this, the address of this domain that you bought should go forward to software and where it should go to software, this custom domain feature would tell you. The custom domain feature, I think, also is free. Yes, it definitely is free. So it's a way you can connect completely for free your domain to a website that you have. Can work with integrations. Again, here comes the point where you can connect the Google Tag Manager or more advanced pixels, which I would not do for several reasons. If you have the Google Tag Manager, this is quite easy to put in your privacy statement that you're using that. The Facebook pixel is a little bit more of a data protection nightmare. You can add reCAPTCHA in it. There are some things you can put in there, but you can go through this yourself. Also advanced settings, but even the advanced settings are actually quite easy and quite basics. User caching and allowed embedding. If you don't know what that is, just leave it at standard. Question? No. Okay, so now for the main act of the show, we wanted to go back to the home page. So what did we say? We wanted to connect the opportunity tracker. So let me delete what we already have here. Everything that already have or everything that I need is basically a header. We now have one for logged in, one for non-logged in, a kind of call to action which is not specified, which we easily can do with here. That is how the button looks like. And what happens when we go to the call to action? Don't know, go to an external URL. You can see you have some options there that you can do. None of our business at the moment. Let's add a footer just for making it look nice. Footer, of course, is a static thing that appears on every single website. So adding a footer, that is not a footer, that is a feature. Here are the footers. I'm so sorry. Yeah, why not? Let's add this footer. And now we have the entire framework for the website. And now, of course, we want to add some dynamic data to it. And for this, you can see, apart from static data, we also have dynamic data. And depending on what you want, you can have different things. For example, we probably want something like a form where we say, okay, you have a new opportunity, let's put it here, let's put it here. We can do this all on the main website, which I will do at the moment. The better way, of course, would be to link the call to action to the site. So you say, you have a new opportunity, click here, and when you click here, you go to a website which has the form, but I will also put the form on this main site. And the other thing that you can do is you can see there's quite a lot of things you can do from calendar views, which is a paid feature. I think Kanban is also a paid feature. But a lot of the standard things like lists, list details, you can already put on the main site. Forms we already have. You can even add payment options here. You can connect it to your Stripe, and you can create an entire payment thing. So if you say you just want to sell your knowledge about prototyping, which you have gained for, let's say, 50 or 100 euros per hour, then you can already implement the billing already here. Very cool. But we are interested right now in the list of opportunities. I just use this feature. You have seen there are several kinds of ways you can show the list. I just use this because I know the tool and I know I like this best. We connect the data source. Again, this is all true for all tools that we have done so far. We are asked for the base. The base is the database. After the base, we probably have to specify the table as well. But first, let's find my opportunity tracker base. I put this here. It's asking for the table 1. It even asks us for a view. I've showed you yesterday that there's different views that we have. In this case, I just have one view, so I take the standard view. Wonder View. And what you see is that it already has, I have 5 opportunities in there. I just went to Google News and looked for some trends that are coming up. So we have an opportunity, for example, a beer spa. Beer spa is a huge trend apparently in the USA. So maybe it's a good opportunity to start a chain of beer spas in Germany. We could add some additionals, but now the source is set up. Very much like we are already noticed. First step always is setting up the source. Let's check this in our front end, refresh. And you can see here already something works. Nothing works when you click on this. Let's keep this in mind. We also have some things here that we might or might not want. So let's fix this next. So source is set up. Then, of course, next is content and actions. Very same thing as you have learned with Make with Zapier. So it gives you some item fields which you can add and more. You can see it gives you quite a lot of opportunities. You can even add checkboxes where you can add checks. For example, checked-in users might be given the opportunity to give a rating to that, which we will not do because this probably takes some time. But one thing I want to add is that the cover image, I have some image, should be changed to image. And now it shows the image. 3 of the 5 pictures, apparently, or 3 of the 5 ideas have already images. Fantastic. We have tags. One of the idea already has some tags. So everything like this is already fine. Perfect. Fits all for me. We can use it exactly as is. I do not want to have those tag filters here. And I can remove them by simply removing them here. Delete one. Did you see that? That moved away here. Now when I click next, the filter 2 should delete as well. So put this away as here. I can even say I do not want a search bar, which I do not want at the moment. And I definitely do not want to have the Add Record button. So I also will remove that. The Add Record button is an action. Of course, it lives under Actions. There's still something yellow under there. Why is that yellow? Select a content item, opportunity description. So yellow means that there's something not properly set up. Zapier also gives you something yellow when something is not properly set up. Make sometimes gives me yellow and sometimes red. I do not know when happens what, but there's also some logic to it. So yellow is never perfect. So we have 2 actions that we can have. First, it has specified a button here. Again, the easy thing is we want to remove this button. We also could make this button conditional on some visibility. So again, we have 2 things. So we could say this button is only visible to logged in users. If we are on the advanced tier, we can also decide between different kind of logged in users. So we can make admins, and we can make users, and we can make whatever. And we could say this button is only visible to admins. In this case, I do not want to see them, so I delete them. And another thing that I want to have is when I click on the item. As you can see, let's go on the example page again. Nothing happens. I'm clicking here, I'm clicking there, I'm clicking there, nothing happens. I would, of course, like to see a details page. So I'm going here, I'm seeing item on click. So what happens when I click on an item? I want to go to a details page. The details page is not created, so I did not specify a details page. I can do that right in here by just clicking create a details page for me. And I do that in this view. Again, I learned that I like this view best. There are also for others. Just do that. Perfect. And it moves me directly to this details page. I will just keep it as it is for now because I don't want to waste too much of your time. But this is now the details page that it will go to. Non-optimized, you can see there's a lot of stuff in there that should not be in there. There's also some content there that is not there. For example, I have not specified an email. I have not specified a URL. I have not specified an email. Why does it put this in there? Software will fill missing data with their own data, so you have a better feeling for that. Let's see what happens now. Let's refresh this page. Now I go down, I click on the page, and I can see that at least it opens a details page. And we could check what we wanted to do from this. So the last thing I wanted to show you, now we can basically see how we can work with these data. The last thing is I want to go to the home page again, and I want to change this publication of data with the form. And again, this is very, very easy. I first have to set up a source, a destination. Oops, I know what source means, thank you. I want to feed, I have several opportunities you can see. I also can send it directly to Zapier. I can send it directly to Make. I also can send it directly to an email for me. I want to use it to my data source though. To use it to Airtable, again, specify the base, we know the drill. It's true for every setup that you do. Opportunity tracker, I want to have it to my table 1. Everything is set up. Perfect, so now I'm asking the questions. Heading 1 is the question 1. No, this is fine actually. Here, full name, of course, should be single text, opportunity name, label would be opportunity name, and the placeholder text, always important to have a placeholder text, your opportunity, that you know what to write and where. And the second section would be not your city, but I would love it to be a kind of URL. Map it to source. I have specified this field in my Airtable already, and with a placeholder www.example.com. Perfect. I need to change the label. Thank you very much. That is true. Change the label to source URL. It's probably not very descriptive, but it's for the test. And then the logic is, of course, when we submit, we want to go add a path. No, we want just to submit it. Does that work? Let's try it out. Label submit icon should work. Form submit on submit as logged in user can, no, everybody can submit. Let's try it out, refresh. And let's see if both work. So we still have our 5 ideas. I add another opportunity. Sell pet pandas because they make great pets. Of course they don't. Don't have a panda as your pet. We use example.com because we don't have something better to do. Submit it. It is successful submitted. And if we reload again, because it does not automatically push this has some technical reason why it does not push it directly to the base. It's not a AJAX call that happens, or the AJAX trigger is not set up in the way that it looks for updates in the database. But once we reload this, hopefully we have this now in the database. Wonderful. So this entire app workflow works now. It's not pretty. It's nothing that I would go on. I publish it right now. And now it's on the internet. So everything works right now with that. And if you browse the next slide, actually let's do this in a second, you can check it out. The one last thing, and I'm happy to take all of your questions, is I would love to show you the front end of T12S, of the system I'm promoting all the time now, and show you how it looks when you have done maybe a little bit more. And this is what you see when you browse T12S. Some features you can see is that there's a header that we don't use. So once we have more items on there, we will change it to another header. You can already see that this was obviously made with T12S because the heroes always look like this. And once you go to the different services, we have a little bit more advanced things in the services. So the services are served in the following way. Sorry, sign in. They are served in the following way. Let's go to this then. That I just said. Do you see services somewhere? Offerings it is. So I have the relative front-end URL here in this column, in this column, yeah, it's column. And only the relatives, for example, the microclasses live at /microclasses. So what happens in the front end when I click somewhere, I go to this and say actions. When I go to the go to button, the thing I go to is actually the front end URL from the database. So I use this very relative. So when I add a new service, I add the service in the database. And in the front end, when you go to T12S and click to this button, it does not click to an order that it's receiving in software, but it's checking where does the Airtable want me to refer to. Why did I do that like that? Because if I take down one service for maintenance, then I don't have to take it down on two different places. I just put it in the Airtable, it's on maintenance, and say it's not available. How would I do this? Is I would put it here, the status. I would put it to backlog, to unreleased, to alpha, so you only see the published ones. You only see those 1, 2, 3, 4, which are the 1, 2, 3 published ones, and where's the fourth? I think the better you also see. And only those are visible to you. And if I want to make something invisible, I can move that very, very easily, very, very quickly. And as you can see here, there is a little bit more pages already. And as I said, the microclass is basically another list of classes that I have. That's also why it's a little bit harder to use, because I only can use the buttons that software gives me. And you have to click first on the class that you're interested in. And if this class is activated, then only you can get the details page, because there's no way with the layout I choose to have a button like here and say, bring me directly to the details. But this is a list. As you can see, now going to the microclasses with the public view, so there's also content that I'm not allowing you to show. And once I click there with the actions, there's a details page. I go to details. I go to the microclasses details. And the microclasses details has another list it shows you. And this list is the list of modules which are also in the microclasses database, which it conditionally pulls from the microclass you're currently on. So this is a little bit on the advanced thing. You can make conditionals here as well. So this domain changes dynamically. If we're going on the AI practitioners class, you will not see Antoine's sales modules, but you will only see the modules that are in the AI practitioners masterclass, because it allows you to get the breadcrumbs that brought you to the site as an input variable for this. How does this exactly work? Unimportant right now. You will get into this as quickly. I actually got this in 5 minutes, and if I get it in 5 minutes, you get it in 1 minute. This is actually quite simple. And I let live on this thing different things at the same time. So I have a perk database, which is also on the same web app. And the thing I want to show you here is now I'm not going to the Airtable. I'm not going to the Airtable for microclasses. I'm also not going to the Airtable for the services, but I go to another base. So in every page, on every block, on every single thing you add here, you can specify another data source. You can specify another Airtable that you want to crawl the data from. This is what I wanted to show you. I invite you to start browsing on, this is the website we just built right now, just if you're interested. Are there questions regarding software about building frontend? There is not. Then let me fix again the recording in a second. because then there are two more things I want to leave you with before we go into the feedback, and then in a short session where I want you to try it out and the thing that you did yesterday with Notion and Forms, I would like to build you very, very quickly also with software. Question?
Yeah, so we are B2C grocery business.
Yeah.
Like what we see in general is that like given those AI tools, I mean they bring in reasoning and so on, but the other thing that changes in the B2C business is especially like having a chatbot and basically doing the job for you. So interfaces by nature, like in the B2C business, are more like felt too complex, clicking through Windows pages
Yeah.
and so on. So like, do those tools have like integrations to have like a chatbot that is more personalized that you can?
The question is if we have the opportunity to add a chatbot to it, and my answer is, let's do it. I have no idea what I did there, so I do not want to say this. Of course, this is a very tool-specific answer that I give you. There are tools that allow you to specifically add chatbots or build chatbot services also quite quickly. But if you just want to have a very quick overview if this is something that you want to work with, then they recently added 2 fields where you can add a chat creation. It's probably not the nicest way of the implementation, but as you can maybe see now. So let me delete it again. I'm now again in the website we just built. It has a static block, and under static blocks there is artificial intelligence, OpenAI text generation. So it has the opportunity to add this on your website. I have not tried it, but you probably need to configure it on your OpenAI backend, that it uses the right models and the right interfaces. But then at least you can build it like this. This, of course, is a very, very low fidelity prototype. So if you want to do something specific with this thing, or if you want this to use here to navigate your website, then software is the wrong tool for you.
Okay.
Let's publish this so you can play with that around. Let's use this. Let's finish the setup again. So, 2 things that I wanted to give to you as well. You can, of course, use Notion to build a website. This is the website or the support website of a small little tool called Raycast. Raycast is a very cool tool if you're using a Mac computer, if you're aware of the Alfred app that I, for example, use so many times a day. Raycast is a little bit more modern touch to Alfred, so it's a productivity suite which allows you to do a lot of things on your keyboard without having to touch your mouse. And they built, obviously, their website with Notion, which is a fantastic way that is also very low fidelity. And an app they used is Super for that. It's called Super App or Super Site. I think it costs €16 a month to get your website on there. And you, of course, need to know what you want to accomplish. What I showed you with software, it's a web app. So the user can interact with the content, manipulate the content, which is an application. And with Notion, it's, of course, just a website. So it's just for informational purposes. So the idea that I want to give you with that is if you just want to do information, maybe Notion is the right tool for you. And if you're doing something different, maybe another tool is the right thing for you. So do you need just a simple website with static containers? Please just go with Notion. Everything is fine. Everything does it for you. On the other side, of course, if it needs to be more high fidelity, then go with something like Webflow or with WordPress and Elementor. If you want to create a client portal for your users or something like that, then software might be a good solution for you. If you need a little bit higher fidelity, if you need to do data analysis, Glide might be the right solution for you. If you need to do even more with that, then maybe Bubble is the right solution for you. And if you have a specific use case that is already being solved, then of course you have specific cases for that as well. So nobody of you should build a web store on software because there's so much backend processes that already have been solved, the entire return policies, the checkouts, adjusting items by size, by color, and so much. And you know there's Shopify that can help you with that. There's WooCommerce that can help you with that. There are so many other web shop tools that have built in all those tools. So, of course, you need to think what is the solution for you. Of course, on the other hand, Shopify is a terrible solution if you just want to build a website. If you want to build a website and a shop, then of course WordPress is the way for you to go because you can do both within one system and add WordPress to your website. But again, don't make yourself crazy about what is the absolute best solution for you. For example, if you're building the website and you're considering Shopify or WooCommerce, I've built shops in both of them. Excuse me. I've also built shops on Wix.com. I personally do not recommend Wix.com. I personally think it's very much overloaded and just slowing you down on so many stages. But Shopify or WooCommerce really doesn't matter. So as long as you're not scaling too much, it should not be your problem. And when you're scaling very hard, then you will have engineers who will make the right decisions for you there.